All right, welcome back. We are going to be starting the book of Second Samuel. First Samuel was pretty good. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about how David actually aligned with the Philistines, and I had no idea. Um, I don't know why churches don't talk about that more about that. How even sometimes when we get scared and we don't know how to handle things, we what do? We go back to enemy territory? Is that why? Is it more comfortable just because you know they're the enemy or you know their weakness? I'm not quite sure, but David has ran from King Saul like the last few chapters of the book of First Samuel. And then at the very end of First Samuel, Saul dies. It's wild. So now we're going to start the book of Second Samuel. And so we're going to start off with chapter 1, which is going to talk about the report of Saul's death and the song of the bow. Number 2, chapter 2 would be David anointed king of Judah. Ish-bosheth made king of Israel. Israel and Judah at war. Chapter 3, sons of David. Abner joins forces with David. Joab murders Abner. And David's mourning for Abner. So Ish-bosheth is murdered in chapter 4. In chapter 5, David reigns all over Israel. Conquest of Jerusalem. The Philistines defeated. Okay, so there is a lot we need to cover. Okay, so the second book of Samuel, let's get started, okay? Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag. On the third day, behold, it happened that a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. So it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the ground and prostrated himself. And David said to him, "Where have you come from?" So he said to him, "I have escaped the camp of Israel." Then David said to him, "How did the matter go? Please tell me." And he answered, "The people have fled from the battle. Many of the people have fallen dead, and Saul and Jonathan and his sons are dead also." So David said to the young man who told him, "How do you know that Saul and Jonathan, his son, are dead?" Then the young man told him, "As I happened by chance to be on Mount Gilboa, there was Saul leaning on his spear, and indeed the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. Now when he looked behind him, he saw me and called me. And I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said to me, 'Who are you?' So I answered him, 'I am an Amalekite.' He said to me again, 'Please stand over me and kill me, for anguish has come upon me, but my life still remains in me.' So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and bracelet that was on his arm, and I brought them here to you, my lord." Therefore David took hold of his own clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan his son, for the people of the Lord, for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. Then David said to the young man who told him, "Where are you from?" And he answered, "I am the son of an alien, an Amalekite." So David said to him, How was it you were not afraid to put forth your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of the young men and said, "Go near and execute him." And he struck him, so he died. So David said to him, "Your blood is on your own head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have killed the Lord's anointed.'" Verse 17. Then David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. And he told them to teach the children of Judah the song of the bow. Indeed, it was written in the book of Jasher. "The beauty of Israel is slain on your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Tell it not to Gath. Proclaim it not to the streets of Aklalon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph." Isn't that crazy? Like, don't be sharing stuff that's like like your downfall, because you have enemies that will rejoice in your own demise. Verse 21, O mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew nor rain upon you, nor fields of offerings, for the shield of the mighty is cast away there. The shield of Saul, not anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, from the bow of Jonathan did not turn back, and the sword of Saul did not return empty. Saul and Jonathan were beloved and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. O daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with luxury, who put ornaments of gold on your apparel. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan was slain in your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. You have been very pleasant to me. Your love to me was wonderful, surpassing the love of women. How the mighty have fallen and the weapons of war perished. Wow. So Jonathan was David's really close friend. Chapter 2, 2 Samuel chapter 2. It happened after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up, David. Where shall I go up? And he said, To Hebron. So David went up there, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelites, and Abigail the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. And David brought up these men who were with him, every man with his household, so they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. Then the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, The men of Jabesh Gilead were the ones who buried Saul. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, You are blessed of the Lord, for you have shown his kindness to your Lord, to Saul, and have buried him. And now may the Lord show kindness and truth to you. I also will repay you with this kindness because you have done this thing. Now, therefore, let your hands be strengthened and be valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. Verse 8. But Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, took Ish-bosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. And he made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Jezreel, over Ephraim, over Benjamin, and over all of Israel. Ish-bosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and he reigned for 2 years. Only the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Verse 12. Israel and the Judah at war. Now Abner, the son of Ner, who was the commander of Saul's army, and the servants of Ish-bosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met them by the pool of Gibeon. So they sat down, one on one side of the pool, on the either side of the pool, on the other side of the pool. Now Abner said to Joab, Let the young men now arise and compete before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. So they arose and went over by number, 12 from Benjamin, followers of Ish-bosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 from the servants of David. And each one of them grasped their opponents by the head and thrust his sword in the opponent's side, so they fell down together. Therefore, that place was called the field of sharp swords, which is in Gibeon. Guys, what is happening? What? What kind of what kind of what kind of sword Olympics is this? It's crazy. So there was a very fierce battle that day, and Abner and the men of Israel were beaten before the servants of David. Now the three sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab and Abishai and Asahel. And Asahel was as fleet of foot as a wild gazelle. Now Asahel pursued Abner, and in going, he did not turn to the right hand or to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Are you Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, turn aside to your right hand and to your left, and lay hold on one of the young men, and take his armor for yourself. But Asahel could not return aside from following him. Um, I am going to need to know who are these names, because I know Abner is the son of Ner, but Asahel, where did he come from? I'm trying to figure out. Hold on, did we miss that part? Asahel. When did he show up into the picture? You know what? We're just gonna go on here. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. You know, one thing about ChatGPT is you can actually just ask it like, what? Hold on one second. For a second. Okay. While we wait for that. Okay. Okay. All right. Asahel was the son of Zuriah, which is from the tribe of Judah, Joab's brother. Okay. So Joab is the son of Zuriah. So Joab is David's nephew. Okay, perfect. So Joab, son of Zuriah. So David had a sister, and that is his nephew. And Abishai and Asahel are also David's nephews. Okay. So these are David's nephews. Thank goodness we got that cleared up. And Asahel pursued Abner, and in the going of forth in the did not turn the right hand or to the left from following Abner. Verse 20 of 2 Samuel. Then Abner looked behind him and said, are you Asahel? And he said, I am. And Abner said, turn aside from your right hand or to your left, and lay hold on one of the young men to take his armor for yourself. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. So Abner said again to Asahel, turn aside from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I face your brother Joab? However, he refused to turn aside. Therefore, Abner struck him in the stomach with the blunt end of the spear, so that the spear came out of his back, and he fell down there and died on the spot. So it was that many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. Joab and Abishai also pursued Abner. And the sun was going down when they came to the hill of Ammah, which is before Giah, by the road of the wilderness of Gibeon. Now the children of Benjamin gathered around behind Abner and became a unit, and took their stand on the top of the hill. And then Abner called to Joab. So the children of Benjamin stood by. And by the way, Abner is actually, remember, the son of the commander of Saul. Whew, lots of bloodshed. Joab and Abishai also pursued Abner, and the sun was going down. Okay, verse 25. Now the children of Benjamin gathered together behind Abner and became a unit, and took their stand on top of the hill. Then Abner called to Joab, shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that it will be better in the latter end? How long will it be then until you tell the people to return from pursuing your brethren? And Joab said, as God lives, unless you had spoken, surely then by morning all the people would have given up pursuing their brethren. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and did not pursue Israel anymore, nor did they fight anymore. Then Abner and his men went out all the way all night through the plain, crossed over the Jordan, went through all of Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. So Joab returned from pursuing Abner. And then he gathered all the people together. There were missing of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. But the servants of David had struck down of Benjamin and Abner's men 360 men who died. Then they took up Asahel and buried him in his father's tomb, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went out all night, and they came to Hebron at daybreak. So, let's get, what is that? Summary, basically. My goodness. So the house of David, Judah, and the house of Saul, Benjamin, and were like, those were because once Saul died, David obviously was anointed king, but like they went ahead and just added Saul's son as because Saul was the king. So they made Saul's son king because like people don't give up power that easily, honey. Hello. My dad was king. That means I'm going to be king next. So, this is the beginning of a civil war that lasts several years as Israel transitions from Saul's dynasty to King David's dynasty. So, let's go to chapter 3. Now, there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David grew stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. Boom, done. Verse 2 of chapter 3. Sons were born of David in Hebron. His firstborn was Ammon and by Ahinoam the Jezreelite. His second, Chileab by Abigail, the widow of Nabal and Carmelite, the third. Nabal the Carmelite. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital, and the sixth, Ithraim, by David's wife, Iglah. They were all born to David in Hebron. Okay. Firstborn was Amnon. Second was Chileab. Third was Absalom. Fourth was Adonijah. Fifth was Shephatiah. Sixth was Ephraim. They were all 5 baby mamas. 5 wives. I don't know about that. I don't have an opinion on that, but I also was living in 1000 BC. Anyways, chapter 6. Abner joins forces with David. And as we remember, Abner is the son of Ner. He is from the tribe of Benjamin. He's actually Saul's cousin and commander of Saul's army. And he supports, Saul's son. Okay. So verse 7, and Saul had verse 6. Now it was so that there was a war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner was strengthening his hold on the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. So Ish-bosheth said to Abner, why have you gone into my father's concubine? Oof. Okay. Wait, hold on. Okay. Basically, Saul's son was like to his cousin, to his, I guess, his great uncle or something, because that's who Abner is. Why are you sleeping with my father's concubine? Mm. Then Abner became very angry at the words of Ish-bosheth and said, am I a dog's head that belongs to Judah? Today I show loyalty to the house of Saul, your father, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not delivered you into the hand of David, and you charge me today with fault concerning this woman? Deflect. Verse 9. Now God so do to Abner and more also, if I do not do for David as the Lord has sworn to him. to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner another word because he feared him. Then Abner sent 2 messengers on his behalf to David, saying, "Whose is the land?" Saying also, "Make your covenant with me, and indeed my head shall be with you to bring all of Israel to you." And David said, "Good, I will make a covenant with you, but one thing I require of you, you shall not see my face unless you first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face." So David sent messengers to Ish-bosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Give me my wife Michal, whom I have betrothed to myself for 100 foreskins of the Philistines." I remember that. And Ish-bosheth sent and took her from her husband, from Patel, the son of Laish. Guys, there is just so much drama right now. Because, like, literally, like, Michal was given to King David um, when Saul was like, "Hey, do this for me." And he bring in 400 foreskins of the foreskins. Do you know what that is? Anyways, so let's get to it. Anyways, and David said, so David sent messengers to Ish-bosheth, Saul, saying, "Give me my wife." Okay, let's verse 15. Sorry, I'm just guys, I'm in a really relaxing mood right now. I haven't had a day where I kind of just try to relax. And so now I'm like, no, I need to finish this because this is a lot of pages I need to read before I would like to finish it by the end of the year. I think I can do it. I just need to continue doing it. It's hard. It's hard literature because I'm over here trying to figure out all of the characters for you guys or for me too, because it's a lot of characters. Verse 15. And Ashabeth sent and took her from her own husband. Again, yeah, that was the drama. 16. Then her husband went along with her to bear Hiram, weep behind her. So Abner said to him, "Go and return." And he returned. Verse 17. Now Abner had communicated with the elders of Israel. "In time past, you were seeking for David to be king over you. Now then do it, for the Lord has spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and the hand of all the enemies." And Abner also spoke in the hearing of Benjamin. Then Abner also went to speak in the hearing of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel and the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner and 20 men with him came to David of Hebron, and David made a feast for Abner and the men who were there with him. Verse 21. Then Abner said to David, "I will arise and go and gather all Israel to my lord the king, that you may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires." So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Verse 22. All right. So Joab, let's talk about Joab. Just remember, Joab is David's nephew. Okay. So let's remember that. At the moment of servants, David and Joab came from a raid and brought much spoil with them. But Abner was not with David and in Hebron, and he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. Verse 23. Then Joab and all the troops that were with him had come and told Joab, saying, "Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he sent him away, but he has gone in peace." Then Joab came to the king and said, "What have you done? Look, Abner came to you. Why is it that you sent him away and he's already gone? Surely you realize that Abner, the son of Ner, came to deceive you, to know you're going out and you're coming in, and to know all that you're doing." And when Joab had gone from David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, who brought him back from the well of Sirah. But David did not know of it. Now, when Abner had returned to Hebron, Joab took aside the gate to speak with him privately, and there stabbed him in the stomach, and he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother. He had revenge because Joab's brother was killed by Abner. 28. Afterward, when David heard it, he said, "My kingdom and I are guiltless before the Lord forever of the blood of Abner, the son of Ner." Let it rest on the head of Joab and all his father's house, and let there never fall to be in the house of Joab one who has this charge or is a leper, who leans on a staff or falls by a sword, and who lacks bread. So Joab Abishai, his brother killed. So Joab and Abishai, his brother killed Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel at Gibeon in battle. Verse 31. Then David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, tear your clothes, gird yourselves with sackcloth, and mourn for Abner. And King David followed the coffin. So he buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king sang a lament over Abner, saying, should Abner die as fool dies? Your hands were not bound, nor your feet put in fetters. As a man falls before wicked men, so you fell. Then all the people wept over him again. And when all the people came to persuade David to eat food while it was still day, David took an oath, saying, God do so to me and more also, if I taste bread or anything else till the sun goes down. Now all the people took note of it, and it pleased them, since whatever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people of Israel understood that day that if it had not been the king's intent to kill Abner, the son of Ner. Then the king said to his servants, Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? And I am weak today, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zuriah, are too harsh for me. The Lord shall repay evildoers according to his wickedness. So basically, David's sister's sons were violent men. Chapter 4. Okay, well, that would be the last chapter we read. When Saul's son heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost heart that all Israel was troubled. And all Israel was troubled. Now, son Saul had two men who were captains of the truth. The name of one of them was Bana, and the name of the other Rechab, and the son of Rimmon the Bethrite, of children of Benjamin, for Beroth was part of Benjamin. Because of the Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and have been sojourners there until this day, Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son who was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it happened she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. His name was Ish-bosheth. So that's Jonathan's handicapped son. Verse 5. Then the sons of Rimmon, the Bethrite, and Rechab, Bana, set out and came about the heat of the day and the house of Ish-bosheth, who was lying on his bed at noon. And they came all the way into the house, and though to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the oh geez. And they came in there all the way into the house as though to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Bana, his brother, escaped. For when they came into the home, he was lying in bed in his bedroom. Then they struck him and killed him, beheaded him and took his head, and were all night escaping through the plain. Who, who, what? Okay, hold on. Who are these people? Just crazy. Okay. So, okay. Wow. So these people were from the tribe of Benjamin, which we're going to find out that they're pretty violent people. Um, son of Rimmon, Bethurai, associated with Benjamin, son of Rimmon. So who's Rimmon? Okay, so Raymond was a Beerothite, meaning he came from Beeroth. Beeroth was one of the cities associated with the Gibeonites, but by this time it was considered part of territory of the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, so wow, very violent. Verse 9. But David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother and the sons of Rimmon the Bethrite and said to them, as the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life from all adversity? When someone told me, saying, look, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good news, I arrested him and had him executed at Ziklag, the one who thought I would give him a reward for his news. How much more, when wicked men have killed a righteous person in his own house on his bed, therefore shall I not now require his blood at your hand and remove you from the earth? So David commanded his young men, and they executed them, cut off their heads and feet, and hung them by the pool in Hebron. They were, but they were but they took the head of Ish-bosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner in Hebron. Wow. Those first four chapters are pretty violent. Honestly, let me check this out. Let's see. So a lot of people had died in these chapters. And so basically, um, 2 Samuel, first chapter 1, Saul dies, Jonathan dies, the reports. Saul's other sons, Abinadab and Malchishua, and also the Amalekite who claimed responsibility for Saul's death. Chapter 2. So it's a total of five. Total of 5 people in chapter 1. Chapter 2, 24 people died. And then, 12 men from David's side, 12 men from Ish-bosheth's side, which is Saul's side. And then a larger battle, Abner loses 360 men. David loses 19 men, but plus his nephew, Asahel. So an additional 380 deaths. In chapter 3, Abner is murdered, which is the son of Ner, which is the commander of Saul. 1 death. And then in 2 Samuel chapter 4, 3 deaths. Eshobab, which is Saul's son who was reigning king, and his murderers, Rechab and Baanah, because David kills them. So a grand total of 413 people died between chapters 1 and 4. And the notable deaths would be Saul, Jonathan, Abinadab, Malchishua, Asahel, Aber, and Ish-bosheth. So those are all family. And these 4 chapters are marked by the collapse of Saul's house and the rise of David's kingdom. Many deaths result from the civil war, revenge, and political violence, while David repeatedly distanced himself from unlawful killings. And that is the end of chapter 4. We're going to continue with chapter 5. Chapter 5 would be David reigns all over Israel because they killed Saul's son. All right, guys, have a good one.